The Legend of Zelda has been around for almost 4 decades now. Released all the way back in 1986, the original Legend of Zelda sold over 1 million copies on its first day in Japan. It was also the first ever NES game to sell over 1 million cartridges in the US during 1987. Since then, a total of 18 games in the main franchise have been released, with the most recent being 2017's highly acclaimed Breath of the Wild. Now, after 5 years of waiting, Link, the series' main protagonist, is back in The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. This particular installment is a direct sequel to 2017's Breath of the Wild, and as the upcoming game's title suggests, we may be in for a much darker and much more emotionally intense experience this time around. That said, Breath of the Wild was pretty sad in its own right. Maybe not as sad and depressing as Majora's Mask, but still sad nonetheless. So what exactly is the story in Tears of the Kingdom? And does the game bring any new features to the table for players to enjoy? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out, so let's put Tears of the Kingdom under the microscope. So as a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, things in Hyrule aren't exactly great. Many parts of the kingdom are besieged by malice, and the awful monsters that make up Ganon's army roam the plains of Hyrule looking for victims to terrorize. As the second official trailer that dropped a few days ago reveals, this may just be the direst situation that Link and Zelda have ever found themselves in. At present, there aren't too many specific details about what the plot in Tears of the Kingdom is. However, it goes without saying that exploration will play a major part in the game's narrative. But this time you'll get to explore a bunch of islands floating high in the skies above. But where exactly did these islands come from? Well, for all intents and purposes, they were once home to an ancient civilization. So the first question that comes to mind is, did the Zonai once inhabit or at least visit these floating islands? I have a strong feeling that Tears of the Kingdom will almost certainly reveal more about the Zonai. They featured quite prominently in Breath of the Wild, and in fact you can visit the Zonai ruins that are located deep in the heart of the Faron Woods. From what I understand, fans have already come up with several theories about this, so I'd be more than a little surprised if Tears of the Kingdom somehow failed to shed some more light on the Zonai's identity. Now, with the ability to explore the Sky Islands high above Hyrule, Link of course has some new ways to get around. Among some of the new methods of traversal that have been revealed in trailers are a hot air balloon, hoverboard, and even some kind of bird-like glider. It's not entirely certain as to what extent you'll be able to control some or all of these vehicles, but at the very least you'll be able to hitch a ride and get from point A to B a whole lot quicker. Another detail you may or may not have noticed from the trailer as well as the official art that went along with it is that, instead of the Shaker Slate, Link appears to be carrying green vials on his belt. My assumption is that they're filled with green energy and power some of Link's abilities in the game. Fans are already theorizing about the green magic and what it could be used for in Tears of the Kingdom, but it's obvious that it plays a major role in the game's narrative. Yet another important feature in Tears of the Kingdom is the presence and role of malice. In Breath of the Wild, malice is what you could call a serious environmental hazard, and if it just happens to touch Link, it'll immediately start damaging him. In the second E3 trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, Malice seemingly attacks and clings to Link's right arm, thus causing him to drop the Master Sword. Later on we see a huge concentration of Malice beneath Hyrule Castle. It subsequently dislodges the castle from the ground and lifts it up into the sky. I think this is evidence enough to conclude that Malice will be a far greater problem for Link this time around. And I'm not just talking about a whole lot more cursed enemies. So there's something seriously wrong with the Master Sword. From what it appears, the sword has been corrupted, most likely by Malice. My guess is that it'll be unusable in its corrupted state, but if the game's logo is anything to go by, the answer to this little conundrum could be in the green magic itself. This may very well be what you need in order to repair the blade and vanquish your enemies, but this is just a theory for now, so let's see if it holds true. Thankfully, Tears of the Kingdom has a whole bunch of weapons for you to choose from. Axes, bows, and shields, as well as some newfound magical abilities, should make the task of defeating your enemies that much more engaging and enjoyable. And with that, the time has now come to discuss something rather contentious. If you've played Breath of the Wild, I'm pretty sure you'll know what I'm talking about. So the question is, will Tears of the Kingdom feature weapon durability? Personally, I hope not. But if it is included in the game, at least make the durability a little better. I mean, I can see the virtue of having weapons that degrade and break, but if you're having to do it constantly, it gets just a little bit tedious. For this reason, I would suggest removing the system completely or overhauling it so that it makes sense. Anyway, some fans love this mechanic, so maybe it's just me. Either way, we'll get to find out soon enough. In all honesty, Tears of the Kingdom looks awesome, and I for one can't wait to try it out. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom will release on May 12th, 2023 and will be available exclusively on Nintendo Switch. So what do you think about this latest installment in the Zelda franchise? Will it somehow be even darker than Majora's Mask? And are you hoping to see the return of the weapon durability system? Please be sure to share all your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do me a favor by liking this video and hitting the subscribe button so I can keep serving you up hot content on a regular basis. That's all I've got to say for now. From me and the Hyruleans here at Metasquad, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!